the other thing about the Nashville game is, and one of the things that we haven't had yet is we haven't really gotten punched in the face a little bit, and we could have, right? Muyamba made an absolutely horrible pass. He gave it to Hani Mukhtar, who got to walk in on our goal right at the top of the box, in the middle of the box, in the 18. I mean,
and he didn't even put it on frame.
No, he missed the goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times are you going to not get scored on in that?
That's called getting lucky right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because I was listening to our good friend Jason and Conti a little bit on the radio after the game, and they were saying, what's so surprising is not just that we've started scoring goals and things like that. We've been scoring a lot. We've been really good look offensively, but suddenly they said all of the soft, goals that we're giving up have disappeared. And I was thinking to myself, right, we might have even won that game 7-1, but there is no way that you can't count that as a goal that we should have given up that's soft, right? Yeah. We literally handed it to him to walk in on our goal, right?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, that game should have probably been 8-2.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But the thing that bothers me is how much we dominated that game, and it still should have been 2. I agree with you. It probably should have been 7 or 8-2. Yeah. But I think a fair result would have been 7 or 8-2, not 7 or 8-0.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
We had, and the thing is, we had so much of the ball. We had them in their half so much. It was awesome. But even when they get forward, they get really good chances.
Okay, but that's why I'm going to go to this Cincinnati game. Like, look, if we beat Cincinnati in a similar fashion at home on a Wednesday night, what does this mean to you?
Well, that would be incredible.
Let's just say
it's for real.
It's for real, right?
Yeah, for real.
It has to be, right? Because Cincinnati's done nothing but prove that they're a tough team. They're at the top of the table.
But Cincinnati, one of the things that they have done all year. So first of all, I would say Nashville was lacking Walker Zimmerman, which makes him a lot worse defensive side. And Nashville is outside of the Leagues Cup, where they've maybe shown they got the new designated player, the English guy, and they've shown that they can maybe score more. But before that, they're not scoring a lot. Yeah. So Nashville is the kind of team that could miss a couple of good chances.
Definitely fragile after that gut-wrenching loss.
They had just come off the big loss in the Leagues Cup. Their first chance to go for a trophy at home in penalty kicks. Yeah. So, but to me, Cincinnati, the thing that's made Cincinnati this year is they have not let people off the hook like that. So if we give up the chances we gave up to Nashville, to Cincinnati, they're going to score 2 goals. Yeah. I mean, that's what they've been doing all year. So, if you ask me, am I feeling confident that we're going to beat Cincinnati? No.
Okay.
And overall, I would say that, I'm feeling a lot more confident that we're a playoff team, right?
Yeah.
But do I feel really confident that my prediction, I predicted at the beginning of the season that we would sort of just barely make the playoffs.
Yeah. I think we're going to solidly make the playoffs now.
Do you think we get good enough to be like a home game?
I think so. Because of how bad some of the
Keep in mind, 9 teams make the playoff, 8 plays 9 in a playoff game, and then there's an 8.
I do.
So you got to be top 4 to get home.
I do simply by the energy and the attitude that I'm seeing from the Saba, the Silva type of player, and Muyamba. Those 3 signings, like, these guys are good players. And Dave, if we got Miles healthy, and this all has to do with health, we have Miles healthy, Gigi and Almada. Gigi and Almada could be like fighting each other for the MVP of the league.
Yeah, I mean, they've been terrific.
So you have
it looks like the players around them. Silva looks to me really dangerous, 2-footed, quick, and he looks like he's got head on his shoulders, like he knows to find Almada when he needs to, right? And what I would say is those guys are making it dynamic.
I want to give a correction there. They're the second behind Messi for MVP of the league.
Sure. It was funny. We were coming out of the game and somebody was like, Almada is the best player in the MLS. And I said, yeah, except for Messi. Yeah. And they were like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, poor Almada. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, take Messi out of the equation. I think he's the best player in the MLS, right? So
let's talk about those goals that we got to see at the Benz the other night, though. That was fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, not just the goals, but like the movement, the fluidity. That's what I was saying. So what's been lacking in this team all season, even going back into last year, right, is that we've had occasional dynamic moments of certain players, but we've lacked a fluidity of players running off of players and having different options and making it kind of, dangerous. You just feel the danger with lots of people getting forward. And what I would say is the guys who have changed that, to me, Silva and Muyamba, have made that happen. Right. So, Muyamba, even his all action style, just by doing this and that, has opened it up for other people because he moves a lot. But for what's really impressive is he doesn't seem to get in the way of Almada.
Right? Yeah, I saw it only like once or twice in the game the other night where Muyamba was kind of right on top of Almada. But what I really like about Muyamba is that, he's got that clear tactical European skill in terms of his first touch is really nice. He looks up and he makes really good passes that are fast. I feel like he releases it really fast and finds somebody without trying to overdo it. I feel like that's what I've been seeing from him, and that's a bit of a difference. He's not trying to overcook a pass. And he, like you said, he's an all action player. He really is getting, while he is a way up in the box and he's definitely on the more offensive foot, he's buzzing about in terms of where he is in the offensive side of the field, just covering all the stuff behind your Almada, behind your Silva and Saba. So he's kind of cleaning that, moving it quickly back to them where, Sedek would get it and pass it backwards.
One thing I think is interesting, right? So, we talked about, so the whole point of the airplanes was, as Pineda said, to get overloaded, to get 2v1, right? And we said it never worked, right? Because all Lennon did was crowd Araujo, right? And what's interesting is that, so Silva, in even the 2 games that he's played, he tends to come inside, but he has the ability to play in tight spaces. He's 2-footed, right? He can play in tight spaces. So now Wiley overlapping on him is creating that 2v1 because he is naturally coming inside. The interesting thing is the one that shouldn't work, right?
Is what we saw with Lennon pinching in.
Yeah, so Lennon was running into Araujo the whole time, and then Araujo had nowhere to go. Right. What's interesting is, so first of all, Mosquera is the first player to play not inverted.
Yeah, but we never saw Pineda make that coaching move with Josetu or with Araujo, right? Where he pinched him in like that. I don't get it, but at least it was something different. We got
to tell the audience what we're seeing. So what happened last night, or no, was it last night? No, against Nashville.
Saturday.
Sorry. Was Lennon, when he went forward, was actually running to the middle of the field, right? He was running inside. He was underlapping, what they call that.
Right middle.
And Mosquera was basically hugging the touchline. Mm-hmm. So he was giving Mosquera the whole room to run. And Mosquera's honestly a poor man's Araujo. He's super fast, and I think he's not nearly as skillful. Yeah. What's nuts to me is we've been saying the whole time that Araujo needs space, right? And the only way to do that is to stop Lennon from going forward or to have Lennon go inside.
Right.
And now he wants to do it for Mosquera?
Yeah.
Where was that with Lennon?
Yeah. And
look, where was that with Araujo, I mean?
And Mosquera, man.
Boom, shakalaka.
Thank you, Dave. But, good signs from Pineda. At least it's something, right?
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. I was like,
some corrections.
I just kept punching you in the seat. I was like, what? Look at where Lennon is. Yeah. He's giving him the outside. And the interesting thing is that it's working. You get a 2v1 because Lennon's going inside. And Lennon does have good enough, skills in there. I think one of the things about it, though, is a little nuts, is you totally lose Lennon, right? How many times in the last 2 games have you seen Lennon serve a ball? It's been like 0.
But don't want to see Mosquera serving well, so hopefully it's Saba. And we didn't really see any service from Saba in the last game. Like he didn't see any crosses.
But here's the other interesting thing: if you say Saba is left-footed, so he's going to go out on the right, which is what he did when he came in. He's naturally going to come inside, and I think he's perfect for that because he can. Again, it looks like he can operate in tight spaces. Now Lennon better be going on the outside. If Lennon comes inside on him, I'm going to be freaking losing my mind.
I think when Saba comes in, they're going to switch that. I think you're right.
But why didn't he do that with Araujo? The only thing, because Araujo's left-footed, that's the whole thing, that Pineda couldn't realize that Araujo was fast and could run by people, and he figured because he was left-footed? Is that it? Are you kidding me?
He's on fire.
Straight jacket on this guy.
See, Carmen,
He's heating up.
if you're listening from that island where we are,
I've got control of the buttons, people,
Dave
which is not necessarily a good thing.
has lost it.
So here's the thing, right? So what it says to me is that Pineda thought Araujo was comfortable inverted, and because he was left-footed, Lennon was going on the outside. As soon as he put Mascara, who's not an inverted winger, in there, he said, Lennon, you're going to crowd his space, and you go inside. And he could never see that he was crowding his space the whole time.
Yeah.
Just because he's freaking left-footed? Is that it? I mean...
But now what is he going to do when Saba starts?
Well, so what I would say is Saba then cuts inside and Lennon goes back to the outside, he would imagine. But
what's changing then?
Because he's saying now that's an inverted winger because he's left-footed again. So he should go right back to Lennon being on the outside, which I think would probably be the right thing.
Yeah.
Because Saba looks like you want him in that tight spaces cutting in the middle because he can combine with other people. Araujo, when he came in the middle, he just had nowhere to go, and he loves to push the ball 5 yards and run, and he was just had nowhere to. He was. We always talked about he was like a Ferrari in like a parking deck or something, right? You know, he couldn't go.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, I think seeing Lennon go out there where we saw Mascara the other night, and obviously Mascara cannot deliver a ball. He really struggles with that final decision.
Yep.
He puts teams in.
He really creates a dynamic with his pace, but I agree with you. His final ball tends to be really poor. Last night against Nashville on Saturday, it was a little better. He was just passing the feet.
Well, I think he finally learned because he had a couple wonk moments, right? Where he like kicked it in the stands, like just had like an awful cross. Like I think he had at least the self-awareness where later on in that game, he slowed it down, and instead of trying anything fancy, he just kind of squared it. Like a little simple pass, in where like, hey, at least I'm going to get it to another foot of a player like Almada or Gigi or whomever who can just continue this thing on and not have the fans.
And you know what happened with Zande Silva and Saba available? You know who didn't come on the field, who did come on in Seattle, but didn't in Nashville?
I don't know. Wolf came on the other night.
The guy who came on in Seattle, who didn't come on against Nashville, Miguel Berry.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
And that's what's nuts to me. Even in Seattle, when we didn't have Saba and we didn't have, so he wasn't available, then he went right to Miguel Berry as the backup, right?
Well, once we have this other striker, hopefully we won't see Berry again.
Yeah, hopefully you'll never see him again. I don't understand. I mean, Etienne is gone, right? Like he's not playing anymore, right? Like
he's bad.
He's not good. I agree. Well, I don't know if he's bad. He's mediocre. He's not Miguel Berry bad.
No.
That's bad.
Etienne got a lot of minutes though.
Yeah, and he didn't really do anything.
He didn't do anything. He had a lot of opportunities to showcase something, and he's yet to do it. So, and as much as I don't like Mascara because he doesn't seem to have the final moment of quality, he still puts teams under a lot of pressure. So putting him in as a late sub, I'm not going to cringe too much.
But you know what's interesting? So a lot of people I think are out there saying, oh, the whole difference is Muyumba and Silva, right? But, the interesting thing, a huge difference, Mascara playing on the touchline, right, has really, really, really opened things up. I mean, how much have we been screaming for we don't always have to have an inverted winger and you can open things up, right? I mean, him standing on the touchline keeps that outside back a little bit honest, and it's making a lot more room in the middle for Almada to operate.
Why can't we have Hernandez play right fullback and Lennon do that?